Hi everyone, week 2 of our Worry List Challenge. I am excited to dive into this week and I've enjoyed really getting your feedback. I love finding out what you tended to worry about and what's really helped. So thank you so much that have kept in contact with me during the challenge. I love hearing any updates you have, so please continue to send those if you have them. I really appreciate it. So last week, our week 1, we were really just observing our worry thoughts. So when were they happening, how often, and then we were learning to challenge and ultimately learning how to just love and embrace them and integrate them into who you are. And our goal in doing that is, remember, we're trying to create new neural pathways. And that's essentially what we're going to continue to do. And the more you put into practice what I share with you, the more likely you are to start creating those new neural pathways. So if you recall last week, I told you our brain tends to want to go down a particular path. It's really smart and efficient in that way. And so if you are a self-identified worrier, if you're part of this challenge, you probably identify as a worrier. That means your brain just automatically goes down that path. And so the more we can start to interrupt that, the more you can create a new non-worry path. And that's what we're going to be doing and continue to be doing. Remember that this is cumulative. The more we do, the more we put these practices into place, the more by the end of those 30 days, you will have a new, beautifully carved out non-worry path. And so that's the goal. And so this week, week 2, we are adding to what we already did last week. So don't stop what you're doing. Continue to observe those thoughts when they come up. Continue to question them. Ask, is this true? Start to come up with a list of things that you can do to challenge the thoughts. How real is this? Is this a story? A lot of you mentioned financial triggers, and that often, sorry, I'm outside, so there's a loud bus out. So that often comes up with clients as well. Money is just it's pervasive in our society. There's a lot of money worries, and so know that you're not alone in feeling them, but know that there's definitely a better way to interact with money and a better way that you can feel around money. It doesn't always have to be worry. Maybe money isn't your worry. Maybe it's more around relationships. Maybe it's around your health. Maybe it's around productivity. Regardless, remember that all of our worrisome thoughts are that. They're thoughts. They're not facts. And so you can really start to question them. And so this week, we're going to start to create what I like to call our worry free. So we really are going to worrying less and less and less to ideally getting to worry free. So you're starting to create your worry free vision of yourself. And so I want you to really run free, have fun with this. I encourage you to write it out in a journal if you can. So what does a non-worrier version of yourself look like? Does he or she just not at all worry about money? What does that feel like? You really want to start allowing yourself to experience what would that be like if you didn't worry about money or about your relationship. And you might have thoughts coming up like, yeah, but I do. I have this relationship issue, or I have this credit card bill or credit card debt that's just keeping me, feeling really just overwhelmed, and it's just there. It's real. It's a reality. So you constantly feel like you have to face it. However, by allowing yourself to at least have fun with a non-worry version of yourself, you're starting to at least create that possibility. So I want you to have fun with it this week. Write it out. What does that non-worrier version of yourself look like? How does she feel? How does she wake up every morning? How are her thoughts different? So really have fun with it. And the reason we're doing this is because your worrying thoughts are a pattern, and they usually start and I encourage you to do this as well. So think back to your childhood. What did your parents worry about? What was common in your household? Was it common to worry about money? Were there relationship worries? What other things came up? You subconsciously pick that up, and if you then start looking at your patterns now in your life now, you'll probably see that you continue to have some of those same patterns. They've actually just kind of carried over from your childhood, and so we're really wanting to interrupt those and create your new patterns, one, so that you can stop this, and then if you do have kids or plan to, then you're not passing it down to them as well. You're really actually breaking a generational cycle of kind of this panic, worrying notion. So when you're thinking about your vision, just your brain is going to say, this isn't realistic, this is silly, why am I doing this? And I would encourage you to work through that resistance, because all it is resistance. And so remember, I shared with you in the last video, whatever resist, persist. And so that's really like your old patterns trying to get you to go down that same pathway. And so see it as that. See it as like, no, I'm going to just try this. I'm going to try going down this new path. I'm going to try to imagine myself as the type of person that isn't a worrier. What does she experience? What does it feel like? What's her day-to-day like? What happens when these old thoughts happen? How does she work through them? How does she interact with them? And the more you do that, again, you're creating more of those neural pathways. And the reason I made this a month long is because if you really stick to the actions that I share with you, you will create that new pathway by the end of the 30 days. And so you're going to feel just so much lighter, so much more present, so much more mindful, so much more empowered, and way more in control of your circumstances. And so the first step to this week is writing out that vision and having fun with it. And the other thing that I want to share with you is a lot of the times when we have a worrisome thought, we work off of circumstances. So let me explain. Typically, and when I'm working with clients, I often see this. They want to change their external. So let's say it's health-wise, you right away maybe have a new diet that you want to try or a new plan. And then most people, what I've encountered as well, is tend to have one area that they really struggle in. And so it might be their health and their weight, it might be relationships, or it might be finances. Those are the top three. It doesn't have to be that way. And I'm not saying if you're not having maybe struggles in one, then you can't have more than one, but usually there's one, if you look at your own life, that it's overarching. It's just kind of always there, no matter what you try or you do. There's this one area that just like you continue to get yourself in the same place, maybe the same weight gain, maybe attracting the same type of unsupportive partner maybe that you don't want, or perhaps just with the money, always kind of living paycheck to paycheck and feeling like you don't have enough. And again, those are all old patterns. It may not feel that way, but the more we work through this, hopefully you'll start to recognize it and see it. So what I want you to do is recognize that you've probably been in the habit, most people do, of wanting to change their external. And so going back to like the health example, you maybe try a new diet, try a new workout plan, you're all eager and excited for maybe a couple weeks, and then you kind of get back to your same self, those same results. And the reason is your brain then starts going down that very familiar path. It says, oh, you're not the type of person to change this. You've always been like this. And they're very subconscious. So start to be aware of that inner dialogue. It tries to pull you back to the status quo of where you are. Or if it's around finances, the thoughts might be, well, you're not that person. You're not the one that's like financially successful. And, who are you to have all your credit cards paid and be like so in charge of your finances? What I'm trying to get you to see is that we tend to identify ourselves as either the person that's not good with money, or the person that just has maybe not the best relationship, or the person that just always struggles with their weight. And so what we're trying to do this week by creating that new vision is you're going to start creating that new identity. So instead of just changing your external, it really starts with your internal. And that's really where you get sustainable results, is you have to change the internal first. Most people go to the external, and think of yourself, if you've tried this, maybe you've tried different kinds of paying down debt plans, and so you get momentum, but that you get yourself maybe in debt again. And I'm just giving examples that I've had with clients or that I've seen. So most people start with their external, and most people work from the notion of kind of this magical thinking, or this fulfillment trap, meaning that once I pay off all my debt, then I can be a non-worrier and be more joyful or more present. Or once my relationships gets better, then I can, it's always then I can. Once I lose 20 pounds, then I have kind of like the permission to be happy and joyful. And I really want you to flip that this week. So start to think, well, can you have that feeling first? Your brain's gonna say no, again, because it goes down that same pathway, but challenge that. Can you be joyful and peaceful and calm and not engage those worrisome thoughts, even if you have debt, even if your relationship is struggling, even if you're not the weight that you want to be. And it's really by taking on that new internal identity that you start to switch your external reality. And so play with it this week. Again, remember, you're going to get a ton of resistance. That's normal, that's natural, that's our brain, that's your brain trying to keep you safe, trying to keep you down that same path. But remember, you're trying to create a new path. So challenge that resistance. Have fun with this. Pretend you're that person that's already debt-free. Pretend that you're that person that's already lost 20 pounds or that's in that thriving relationship. Pretend. And I know that may seem silly and you may be like, oh my gosh, what is she sharing with me? But I promise you, it comes from the internal. If you can switch your internal, you're changing new neural pathways, you're actually changing your nervous system, and you're creating a new reality for yourself instead of taking that same old path again and again and again that'll only get you to the same place that you are now. And so in order to start worrying less, you have to self-identify as somebody who's a non-worrier. And so start there. Start with identifying and really classifying yourself as I am a non-worrier, and take that persona on this week. And I'm so excited to hear just how this works for you. Remember, you're going to get resistance. Your brain's going to say, no, you are a worrier. Your mom's a worrier. Everyone in your family's a worrier. That's pulling you down that same path. See it, observe it, go down that other path. Remember the vision that you wrote for yourself, and just have fun entertaining it this week. The more you do it, the more you challenge the resistance, the more and more you're going to step into being that non-worrier. So I hope this makes sense. Please, reach out with questions or concerns. I'm so thankful that you're here, and just hopeful that some of the tips that I'm sharing with you will resonate and will start to make a lasting change. Tomorrow, I'm going to be emailing you a meditation that's going to help you create that vision for yourself. And then in the meantime, just remember to write out the vision, have fun with it, really start to imagine what it's like to be that person that you're trying to be becoming, and just be him or her now. Just be. And I know your brain's gonna be like, but I'm not there yet. That's okay, because you can't change it from the external circumstances. You can't all of a sudden be a non-worrier because you pay off your debt or because you have a better relationship. You have to actually, it's the opposite, but most of society works the other way around, which is why most people stay stuck in their patterns. So have fun with this, write out your vision, have fun playing pretend you're, back to being a child again, and just enjoy it and have fun, and know that you're creating new neural pathways, and know that you are becoming the non-worrier that you are meant to be. You're meant to have a mindful life, present life, a life where you're not constantly living in worry. So again, I'm Dr. Erica Austin. Thank you so much for joining this challenge with me. And until the next video, have a beautiful day.